what have we done to the world? Look what we've done.
Rehearsal night, June 24th, 2009. Michael Jackson finishes a full run-through of his concert, This Is It. It is the very last time he will be seen in public alive.
Is there a time?
Just after midnight, 12:50 in the morning on the 25th, the BMW of Dr. Conrad Murray, Jackson's personal physician, is seen arriving at the entertainer's Los Angeles mansion. A little later, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Jackson and his entourage also enter the property. Exhausted, Michael Jackson heads to his second-floor suite, where Dr. Murray, as he does every night, prepares him for bed. What would follow over the next 10 hours was nightmarish, a struggle by Dr. Murray to put his desperate patient to sleep, and an even more panicked effort to wake him up again. By noon, one of the world's biggest superstars would be dead of an overdose. From a drug most of us had never heard of, but addicts know well as milk, and anesthesiologists call by its real name, propofol. Michael Jackson wanted it, and he hired a doctor, Conrad Murray, who would give it to him. Soon the patient would be dead, and his doctor on trial.
It was Dr. Murray's repeated incompetent and unskilled acts that led to Mr. Jackson's death.
Was Dr. Conrad Murray a reckless, negligent physician out to keep his $150,000 a month fee at all costs, even if it meant putting his own patient's life at risk? Or did a drugged-out Michael Jackson, as Murray's attorneys contend, give himself the final fatal dose of propofol?
Michael Jackson self-administered a perfect storm in his body that killed him instantly.
Noon, June 25th. After a panicked alert from Dr. Murray, Jackson's bodyguard, Alberto Alvarez, rushes to the second-floor bedroom where Murray is trying to resuscitate a dying Michael Jackson.
He was laying on his back with his hands extended out. I observed that his eyes were slightly open.
Alvarez is about to call 911 when there is a delay as Dr. Murray makes a critical request, say prosecutors.
He reached over and grabbed a handful of vials, and then he reached out to me and said, "Here, put these in a bag."
Only then, at 12:21 p.m., does Alvarez finally call 911.
We have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing. He's not conscious, sir.
An ambulance arrives within 6 minutes, and first responders give more damaging testimony about Dr. Murray's conduct. Paramedic Richard Senna says Murray never told him anything about propofol.
Did Dr. Murray ever mention to you having administered propofol to Michael Jackson?
No, he did not.
By 12:57, it's clear to the paramedics and the hospital that Jackson is dead.
If there's nothing further, we're going to call it here, and time of death is 12:57.
At Dr. Murray's request, Jackson is taken to the UCLA Medical Center where doctors unsuccessfully try to revive him. Jackson is officially pronounced dead. Again, Dr. Murray makes no mention of propofol. The paramedics and the doctors never hear the word propofol from Conrad Murray. What does that tell us?
If it were innocent, why would you want to hide it? He knew that using propofol outside an operating room was wrong. He knew that from that use, Michael Jackson was dead. All of that together suggests a guilty conscience.
2 days after Jackson's death, Dr. Murray meets with police at this Marina del Rey, California luxury hotel. Sitting with his attorney, Murray tells police he was trying to wean Jackson off the propofol and had not given it to him for 3 nights. But on June 25th, after a tough rehearsal, Jackson begged him for it.
He said, please give me some so that I can sleep.
Hot milk or warm or
This is just a medicine.
what is the medicine?
It's called propofol.
For the first time, police receive a meticulous and disturbing timeline of that fatal night at Jackson's rented mansion off of Sunset Boulevard. 1 a.m. Jackson arrives home from his rehearsal, takes a shower, and Dr. Murray gives him a rub-down with bleaching cream for his skin condition. 2 a.m. Jackson cannot sleep, and Dr. Murray gives him his first sedative. 3 a.m. A second different sedative is administered by Murray. 4:30 a.m. Murray gives a repeat dose of the first sedative. Incredibly, by sunrise, Jackson is still not asleep. So at 7:30, he's given a repeat dose of the second sedative. By 10:30 that morning, after 9 hours without sleep, a desperate Michael Jackson is asking for his old friend, propofol.
He said, just make me sleep. I can't function if I don't sleep. So I agreed at that time that I would switch to the propofol.
Dr. Murray sounds like a guy who cared about Michael Jackson, who was doing everything he could to help Michael Jackson.
What happened next in Jackson's bedroom would be the crux of Dr. Murray's defense. Murray said after giving Jackson only a small dose, 25 milligrams, Michael finally fell asleep. So he went into the bathroom. He told police that 2 minutes later, he returned to find that his one and only patient was not breathing. In those 2 minutes, Murray's defense contends that Jackson, who had already surreptitiously taken 8 sedatives by mouth, woke up and with an IV and catheter attached, injected himself with a lethally strong dose of propofol. But the prosecution launches a scathing attack on the self-administration theory, noting that Michael Jackson's fingerprints are nowhere to be found on anything that contained propofol in his bedroom. Cardiologist Dr. Alan Steinberg testified that just by leaving the room, Dr. Murray was grossly negligent.
When you monitor a patient, you never leave their side, especially after giving propofol. It's like leaving a baby that's sleeping on your kitchen countertop.
The star witness for the prosecution was Dr. Stephen Schaefer, the man who literally wrote the dosage book in every box of propofol.
I do not see the difference between Conrad Murray saying yes to the request that Michael Jackson is making and a person who cleans the house saying yes to a request that Michael Jackson is making. He is not exercising his medical judgment.
But the defense has its own star witness, Dr. Paul White, known as the man who made propofol popular in operating rooms and a respected colleague of Dr. Schaefer's.
So you think it was a self-injection of propofol between 11:30 and 12 o'clock that did it?
In my opinion, yes.
But White conceded that Dr. Murray should never have agreed to take on the job of medicating his patient with a dangerous drug.
It's something that no amount of money could convince me to accept or take on as a responsibility.
Prosecutor Walgren blasts Dr. Murray as nothing more than a hired hand who killed Michael Jackson and his dream of cleaning up his life and renewing his career.
He hit the lottery. He was going to get $150,000 a month. Michael Jackson trusted Conrad Murray. He trusted him with his life. He paid with his life.
But the prosecution's harsh depiction of Dr. Murray is countered by moving testimonials from his former patients.
If this man had been greedy, he never would have come to an area 75% of them poor.
Lead defense attorney Ed Chernoff told jurors Conrad Murray is being held responsible for what Michael Jackson did to himself, a scapegoat that may belong in front of a medical review board, a civil malpractice jury, but not in criminal court.
If it were anybody else but Michael Jackson, anybody else, would this doctor be here today? If you're going to hold Dr. Murray responsible, don't do it because it's Michael Jackson.